Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cinemaholics. This week, we have an awesome show full of some updates as well as some good reviews and some bad reviews, maybe a little bit of both. To start us off, I'm Ryan, and I'm a Cinemaholic.
Hello, everybody. My name is Spencer, and I'm a Cinemaholic.
That was our new intro. I hope you guys like it. Me and Spencer put a lot of time and effort into this, recreating some of these shots. Comment down below if we've already released this, so you've probably already seen it, but comment down below if you know all of the movie references that we did. How many are there? 6 in total? 5.
Five.
I think we
Yeah,
cut one.
five.
5 in total. So comment down below and let us know if you can name all of those. But to start off our episode today, I'll just do a quick rundown of what we've got going on. We're going to start with some updates about the channel, some new directions we're going to be going, and Spencer will head us up on that. And then we're going to do our cult classic this week for our classic reviews, which will be Showgirls. And then we'll go into watch list, some film news, the Big Lebowski, and we're going to wrap up Sundance with a top 5 list. So Spencer, let's get into the channel updates.
All right, guys. So we have a couple of announcements. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is we're actually going to do something new. We're going to be implementing some changes on the channel. First thing first, our movie reviews are now going to be separate from our meetings. So let me explain a little bit what that means. In order to watch our movie reviews, we're just going to have each individual laid out for each different movie. So if there's 2 releases that week, we'll have 2 separate videos. And then as far as the meetings go, for people who are big Cinemaholic fans on our channel, we're still going to be doing the meetings, which are going to consist of our watch lists. And then we are going to be talking about the weekly classic, or in this case, we'll be talking sometimes about cult classics. We're going to try to cover like all the bases as far as classics go. And I guess in a way, we're talking about 2 classics this week because The Big Lebowski is widely considered by many to be a classic as well as a cult classic. So, and then the last thing, we're going to also be talking about film news a lot more and kind of just like what we think of upcoming projects or filmmakers, their impacts on cinema, and just kind of like discussions. So that being said, we want you guys to join the discussion. And in order to do that, we have our awesome emails, cinemaholicproductions@gmail.com. That's all one word, all lowercase, cinemaholicproductions@gmail.com. One more time. And you can email anything to us. You can email movie questions, what you thought of a certain movie, video game questions, TV questions, whatever type of media you want to talk to us about. You can email us and just say, hey, this is what I think about this, or this is a question. If you have some crazy, like, I don't know, dilemma, like what your thoughts are on a movie and you want us to kind of like talk about what we think of a movie, or even if you have movie suggestions.
And speculations. I want to hear some speculations for sure.
Right. So if we see something crazy, like a movie that's very ambiguous or non-linear, and you have an idea or a different interpretation than we do, then please go ahead and email us one more time, cinemaholicproductions@gmail.com. And in fact, just email us whatever you want. You can email, as long as it's not too creepy or anything, guys. That might have opened a window we don't want to go down, but we'll see. Go ahead. I guess email us creepy stuff, even if you want to. Who cares? But I think that about wraps up. Do you have anything to add with those updates, Ryan?
No, that kind of covers the updates, I think, and it's a perfect segue talking about creepy things into our cult classic this week. This week we decided there's a little bit of story behind this, but Spencer received a copy of the cult classic Showgirls, and
That's right.
I, for some reason, bought this movie a while ago. I don't know why. It was probably on sale at FYE for like $1 or something. And I got this movie. I had never watched it. So we put it on the list for this week as well. I want to put a disclaimer right now. I'm sick. I've been sick all week, and that's why my watch list is what it is this week. We'll get to that. But I apologize. I have a lozenge in my mouth, and I sound sick still. So I apologize for that. But getting into Showgirls, this is a movie that was released in 1995. in September to be exact, because I looked that up. And the synopsis is Naomi, a young drifter, arrives.
It's Nomi.
No, Nomi. Sorry,
Nomi.
Nomi. I'm reading this.
Unforgettable character.
Yes. We'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I'm just gonna sum it up. She shows up in Vegas and she becomes a showgirl / a stripper. So let's talk about it. You go first.
Okay, so there's a couple things I want to start off by saying. I was looking through the IMDb trivia, and I'm looking through it right now, guys, so I might be looking a little bit like I'm concentrating. It's because there were a couple things I wanted to read to you guys. So Kyle MacLachlan, who is one of my favorite actors, he is in what is on some days my favorite movie, which is Blue Velvet. He's the star of Blue Velvet, and he plays a character in this movie. I wanted to read this through the trivia. Kyle MacLachlan later recalled seeing the film for the first time at the premiere, and here's his quote. Quote, "I was absolutely gobsmacked. I said, this is horrible, horrible. And it's a very slow sinking feeling when you're watching the movie and the first scene comes out and you're like, oh, that's a really bad scene. But you say, well, that's okay. The next one will be better. And you somehow try to convince yourself that it's going to get better, and it just gets worse. And I was like, wow, that was crazy. I mean, I really didn't see that coming. So at that point, I distanced myself from the movie. Now, of course, it has a whole other life as a sort of inadvertent satire. No, satire isn't the right word, but it's inadvertently funny. So it's found its place. It provides entertainment, though not in the way I think it was originally intended. It was just maybe the wrong material with the wrong director and the wrong cast. And then Kyle MacLachlan was rumored to walk out of the premiere, but Kyle MacLachlan denied the rumors that he walked out of the premiere. He said, quote, "I sat there and suffered for the whole 2 hours." That's a cast member of this movie, people. A great actor, Kyle MacLachlan. I really like him, at least. I think he's pretty fantastic. So let's get into Showgirls.
Can I comment on that quote?
Sure.
He said, what did he say? He said it was the wrong director, the wrong
cast.
And the wrong cast. Yeah. What's left?
Yeah, literally, he says it's basically according to the cast member who plays a relatively major role, right, Ryan?
Yeah.
He says that this movie is a piece of utter garbage. So it also won the Razzie for Worst Picture and Worst Director, and Paul Verhoeven is the only filmmaker so far to show up to the Razzies and accept his award.
Yep.
Halle Berry showed up, and she's an actress, though. But he's the only filmmaker to ever show up. So that being said, let me get into my thoughts. This movie is awful. It is so bad. Like, honestly, it's borderline insane in lots of parts. There is so many scenes in here that I just want to get into and go crazy about, but I think maybe we should refrain from doing so, because if we talked about them, you guys would probably think we were making this up. This movie has some of the most offensive, misogynistic, absolutely crazy scenes I think I've ever seen in a movie. It got an NC-17 rating. I don't know if it deserved an NC-17 rating. I don't know if by today's standards it would still get NC-17.
Yeah. What does that even mean anymore?
I know. But that being said, this movie is so offensive on every single level. It is absolutely horrendous. It's like being stuck with horrible people for 2 hours and 20 minutes? It's like a 2 hour and 20-minute movie.
That was my biggest comment is it's 2 hours and I think 17 minutes is the final. Oh, it's only 2 hours and 8 minutes. And it is torturous. Yeah. Why is it that long?
And I think we should real quickly get into Elizabeth Berkley, who is the lead actress in this movie. And she is absolutely insane. Like, what even happened there? Her performance is, if you watch her, she is completely unhinged. Like, she is not stable mentally. You can totally see her, she oftentimes in this movie, somebody will say something that's just like a snide comment, and she'll totally flip out and hit the person or go insane and slam doors or try to literally stab them with a knife or something. And it is just wild. This movie is crazy. So what do you think? Let's kind of get a discussion here going.
I don't even know, because I'm looking through her IMDb right now.
Right.
And she's done a bunch of TV and crap, but I'd never heard of her. I mean, she's got nothing in the, this is a bunch of garbage. She's awful. But it does say, which I find this funny because today I watched Swan Lake, the Bolshoi ballet of Swan Lake, and that's one of my favorite ballets. But apparently she, like in 1983, was a star of Swan Lake or something. So maybe she's a really good like ballerina. But
Yeah, she's a dancer. I know that.
Well, yeah, she's a dancer. I'll tell you, we just watched the same movie, right?
Yeah, but I guess what I meant by that is you were implying that maybe she made a farther run in the ballet, and I know that they were planning on casting somebody like Charlize Theron or like so. Thank God they didn't do that because literally this movie, she's better than this, and they didn't cast some of these actresses because they couldn't dance. And yeah, I guess this girl can dance, all right.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the trailers as well, because this, I think it's a very good trailer because it depicts exactly what you're going to get out of this movie. And I watched it just to prepare myself. And I was like, how it wasn't, I guess it wasn't labeled green band or red band, but I was just assuming it was a green band trailer. But I've never seen so many boobs in my life in a trailer. Oh my gosh. And then we get into the movie, and I was talking to Steven about it the other day before I watched it. And I'll admit, as weird as this may come off or sound, I actually did like Magic Mike. Like, it's not one of the best ever, but it's a serviceable movie. It's good. Right. And I think in weird ways it addresses the same kind of stuff, but this just, it derails so fast and so hard. I don't even know. Like, I'm so thankful that I was sick all week because I was taking a bunch of NyQuil and Dayquil, and I think that's the only way I was able to make it through this movie. It feels like it's 3 hours long.
Right.
I don't even know how to have a discussion about this because that's it. I mean, you can't take anything away from it. It's just garbage. Overall garbage.
But it's like, it's fun garbage. Like, it's really fun to watch. What was your favorite scene in the movie? Do you have one?
No.
I think my favorite scene was the scene where she went to get revenge on that artist who like beat the heck out of her friend. And she like goes in there and she just pulls a knife and like beats the living hell out of that guy. Like, that was awesome. That was probably one of the best scenes like ever.
I think I'd pick that one too.
Yeah, totally amazing. Also just wild and crazy. So I guess that being said, let's just go ahead and score this thing. What would you give it?
I don't know. I don't know how I can like unbiasedly score this because I looked up a bunch of scores because I was like, is it just that I'm on a bunch of drugs right now? Is that why it's so bad? But it really is objectively bad. I'm gonna give it a 0.5.
A 0.5. Okay. Yeah. So the good things I have to say about this movie is the production value is very well done. Everything looks really, really good in the movie.
Take your shirt off. There's your production value.
Well, like, no, but on stage when they're dancing, the sets look really good. Yeah. And then like even that part when they're at the party with that artist, everything looks good. And I mean, the camera movements, I think the cinematography, it's pretty well shot. So I'd say I'd give this one a 3 out of 10. Ugh. And also just kind of because it's so like bafflingly bad that I can't say I didn't enjoy some aspects of watching this movie.
Okay, so, I want to do a fun little game really quick.
Okay.
Over under. The budget of this movie. Do you know the answer already?
No, I don't.
Okay, the budget of this movie. Over or under 30 million?
Over.
$45 million.
Wow.
And it's like, I bet it's exactly like you said. I'm gonna look up the cinematographer's name, but it's all on the set. I mean, where do you put $45 million?
I don't.
It bombed. It only made 20 million back.
But it's like since developed a pretty big cult following. We must add. Anyways, do you have anything else to add about Showgirls, or can we never talk about this again?
Let's never talk about this again, except for this final plug. This is the kind of crap we're talking about. If you have cult crazies like this that you want us to check out or you'd like to talk about, email us this crap. I mean,
Or
not
comment.
this bad. Or yeah, comment as well. I mean, I don't want to watch anything like this again. But if you have like a cult classic like Donnie Darko you want us to watch, I'll watch that.
I'll watch so bad it's good movies any day of the week. Like things like The Room, Troll 2, Showgirls, they really fascinate me. So I don't know. I think that overall, for me, I'm not saying for anybody else on the planet, like you should not go watch Showgirls based on this discussion. Don't do it. You will probably be really offended by watching it. Most people would.
See, that's the difference. I'll watch The Troll or Troll 2 or The Room, but those aren't like extremely offensive.
Yeah, this movie gets vile in a couple parts. There were parts where I was like, this is like the African American guy who wants to get her to dance on his stage. He's one of the most offensive characters I've ever seen in a movie. But let's not even get into it, like that whole entire subplot, because, oh boy, you guys don't need to know about that. Okay, guys, so now we are going to get into our watch list. So we're going to have Ryan go first. So Ryan, you said you have a pretty lengthy watch list, right?
Yeah, lengthy just in the sense that I was sick, and so I was able to actually devote time to TV. I don't watch a lot of TV because I really do like to just binge content. And I forget if I spend week to week watching episodes and stuff. So
you're telling us you started Game of Thrones?
I did, actually. I got through episode 1 again.
Oh, great.
But I promise I will watch episode 2 tomorrow, and I'm going to start. I'm getting on the Game of Thrones bandwagon. Starting off, you've only watched, I'll start with a series of unfortunate events because you've watched 1 episode, so we can have a little bit of a discussion there. And then my next one's going to be Rick and Morty, and we'll actually talk a little bit more about that. But a series of unfortunate events is a book series that Netflix has released this new original series. They came out with a movie, it's probably like 10 years ago or something like that. And the movie was not critically accepted very much. Not a lot of people liked the movie, though I think a lot of people did like Jim Carrey. And I was a fan of Jim Carrey in that movie.
I just checked it real quick, and it came out in 2004.
2004, so
over 10 years.
Over 10 years ago. And I remember it because I read all the books, and I was really excited. And my family started this new thing where it was like date night with mom and dad back then. And we got to choose, like all of my siblings rotated. And I was so looking forward to this movie, and I got to go out with my parents, and we watched it. And I remember like 2004, I must have been like 12 or something like that. And I remember that was one of the first movies where I walked out and I was like, what was that? Like, that was very disappointing in a movie. That being said, I actually did like a lot the Netflix series. I think they did 6 episodes. I can't remember. I think there was 11 or 12 books, and so there's going to be 3 seasons. The way they're pacing it out, they're doing 2 episodes per book, and I think that this is the brilliance of the day and age that we live in now. That these books really did need that much breathing room, because the first movie jammed like the first 3 books into the movie, whereas this was able to take a season and really let it breathe and develop. I love the quirkiness of the whole thing, and I think it really does encapsulate the books very well. I do want to say one thing that I was really impressed with was Melina Weissman, the girl who plays Violet. It's uncanny how much she looks like Emily Browning. Like they look identical, and I love that. I think they both pull off Violet very well. I'm gonna hold off on scoring this. I want to maybe even wait until the next season, but I want you to kind of finish it too and have more of a discussion on that. But
sure.
Let's get into Rick and Morty. This is a show that you told me like a month or 2 ago to really get into, because I agree with you. This is a show that our demographic and our target audience for this show that we're doing, the Cinemaholics, this is something you guys are going to dig. I loved this. The first episode, I will admit, was kind of rough. I wasn't super into the first episode, but the second episode gets into like Inception and stuff, and it starts paying homage to all these movies. And I loved this show, and it was easy. This is a show that was easy to just sit down and waste 3 hours and cruise through. Do you want to kick us off with a more in-depth?
So basically, I guess what we should say is Rick and Morty is essentially kind of like Back to the Future-ish. It tells the story of a grandfather who's like, basically he has an existential crisis like every single episode, and his grandson Morty, and Rick is the grandpa, Morty's the grandson. Rick's an alcoholic who's very depressed, and as I said, he's an existentialist, and Morty's kind of like a normal teenager who they go on these crazy interdimensional travels and all sorts of crazy adventures. Each episode kind of like introduces a different type of science fiction concept. And man, there's like so many great episodes. There's like, for example, there's an episode where there's these aliens who can like implant themselves into your memory and make you think that they're like part of your family or one of your friends or something, lifelong friends. And then that's how they like get to you. And then more and more keep implanting into your memories till you don't know who's real and who's an alien. And that's kind of like the setup of the problem of that episode. So they put their house on lockdown and they try to figure out who's the alien, who's not the alien. So it's kind of like The Thing in a sense, but it is absolutely hilarious and so genius. There are so many freaking funny parts in this, like laugh out loud moments. I laugh so much in this show. I think it's probably, other than Silicon Valley, it has to be my favorite comedy on TV.
I will say there's like two really huge things, specifically in season 2, that I will never forget: the Schlammy and Mr. Poopy Butthole. Like, I will never forget those two things.
Did you watch after the credits with the
last episode? Yeah. Yes.
Well, no, and also of the Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Yes.
That was so great.
That whole, oh my gosh. It's a brilliant comedy because it does very well. Like, I watched, actually, that's on my watch list as well. I forgot. I watched Shaun of the Dead, and I watch that every time I'm sick for some reason, and it's just a great movie. But one thing Edgar Wright does really well that Rick and Morty does really well is just owning plantings and payoffs and repetition with variation. They do things and then they do it again, and then they do it again just a little bit different, and it's so hilarious with the comedic timing. So there are 2 seasons out right now, and this was something that I was going to address in movie news. Was something that came out of Sundance was that there is a season 3. I think we've kind of all known that. There's not a set date, and that's just production drama with choosing a date and getting things actually done. So this is definitely one everyone should go back and check out in anticipation for season 3, because I'm sure season 3 is just going to blow us all away. It's going to be hilarious.
All right. So I guess that being said, I can move into my watch list unless you have anything else to add, Ryan.
No. Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to save one of these items so that we don't go too far over time. But and it's a TV show, and I'm still on first season, so I'll wait till I'm a little bit farther. It's The Wonder Years, in case people were wondering. They added it to Netflix, and it's something I've been trying to go through. My first thing on my watch list is actually a video game. It's going to be Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which I've actually, shameless plug, have been playing through on this channel. If you guys want to watch any of those, just be warned, there's some disturbing content within those videos. But if you imagine me playing that game in VR, literally being inside a haunted house, then stop complaining about the brutality because I'm literally experiencing it like I'm actually there. And so that being said, let's talk a little bit about this. This game is absolutely horrifying. It's probably the most scared I've ever been, like in my entire life. It is so scary. It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I heard somebody else compare it to The Hills Have Eyes, which I really like that comparison. But the thing is, it's almost too scary. Like throughout the videos that I've been making, I'm constantly saying, this is not fun, I don't like this. And it's just because it's so well done. So I can't discredit it because of that. I think I'm about 3.5 hours into the game, almost 4 hours. So I'm probably getting pretty close to the halfway point. I hear the game's about 8 or 9 hours long. And there have been a couple parts that have been a little bit too scary as far as I'm concerned. Like they take it super, super far in the scares. And it's something that's just super, super fun to do, though. I almost feel like I'm cheating myself if I play it outside of VR. So it's something I'm going to continue to do. And that's all I wanted to say about it. So if you guys want to check any of that game out, then I'd say check out the first part. The first part's like 2 hours, and I apologize. I just lost track of time because it was so immersive. But so let's move on to my next thing. I won't score it until I'm done. I might do a quick review on this channel when I'm finished. But the next thing on my watch list is going to be Victoria, which I have that pulled up on IMDb. Let me just get that pulled up, which came out in 2015. And it tells the story of a young Spanish woman who has newly moved to Berlin and finds her flirtation with a local guy turns potentially deadly as their night out with his friends reveals a dangerous secret. And I like how vague that synopsis is, because I didn't know anything about this movie going in other than that this movie was filmed completely in one shot. And it doesn't do the Birdman thing where it's actually like 4 shots, but it does a really good job disguising it. And Birdman, I don't want to discredit its achievement because it has amazing cinematography, and the timing and the staging of that movie is incredible. But here we have a movie where we literally are all in it. It all takes place in one shot. Like the movie, there's something that you can see on a page that says this movie was filmed in this location from 4:30 a.m. to 7 o'clock a.m., which that's just so cool. Like it was filmed in that one time, took meticulous amounts of planning. And I read in the IMDb trivia, it's James Franco's favorite movie of all time. So what more of a recommendation do you need than James Franco's favorite movie of all time? Because he's such a normal guy. But anyways, so this movie was awesome. I really actually wound up digging the heck out of Victoria. I think the first 30 minutes was a little bit like, what is this? Is this just going to be like this the entire time? But then something happens in the plot about 30 minutes and maybe a tiny bit longer where I was like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. And in the first 30 minutes, there's a couple parts where the like camera work is a little bit sloppy. Like there's a specific part I can think of where the cameraman had to get to one place to another really fast. He's literally just like sprinting with the camera. It's like shaking, and it's just like, okay, so that looks a little bit tacky. But other than that, man, this is a cinematic experience like no other that I've ever had. It is exhilarating in some moments. There are parts in this movie where I was just like, my goodness, like what an achievement. It's like 2 hours and 30 minutes long. I think I'd give Victoria an 8.5 out of 10. I really, really dug this. Like I said, the first 30 minutes drags a little bit, and it's kind of like, where is this going? And I don't think it necessarily at all points is like developing characters. I think it's kind of just showing the like beginning of the night, because it's really, you're with these characters in this experience. Like I said, I really don't want to spoil anything about this movie, but I highly recommend people check this one out. It didn't qualify for Best Foreign Film at the Oscars because most of the movie, in fact, was spoken in English, which I think is just a crime and ridiculous, because this should have gotten some sort of attention. Okay, so I think we're ready to transition to film news. I think you have a couple stories, so let's go ahead and start with you.
Perfect. Okay, guys. Film news. We're getting into this new segment, like we said at the beginning. This is going to be covering film news and other thoughts. The main things we have to talk about today is just some film news. So one, for a little bit of a discussion, the Stranger Things trailer premiered today with the Super Bowl. We might put this movie out tomorrow. So yesterday, Super Bowl came out. It stole the show. It was the best part of the Super Bowl, in my opinion. I am feeling very blessed today for three reasons specifically. One, I don't understand football. Two, I quit watching the Super Bowl about an hour, 2 hours, like 40 minutes after halftime. And so I saw the best part.
You had a happy ending, yeah.
I had a happy ending. Yeah, as far as I know, the team that won. So there's that. And then the third thing that I'm feeling blessed about is Stranger Things. This is one that you actually watched the trailer for. So do you want to start us off with it?
Right. I guess I should explain myself because lots of you are probably like, what? You watched a trailer? And my reasoning behind watching a 30-second TV ad for Stranger Things, and really it has footage from like old archive footage from an Eggo commercial at the beginning, I think kind of to fool the audience into thinking it was an Eggo thing, which was really clever, by the way. But my reasoning is Stranger Things, it's an 8-hour movie. So 30 seconds of an 8-hour movie, I'll watch. It's like, whatever. What are they going to show me? And it really didn't show us much, but what it did show us looks amazing. It looks like they've really upped the production value, and rightfully so, because of how popular this thing was. This is the most popular streaming show of all time. Like within the weekend it came out, it was the most popular. This thing, everybody's seen Stranger Things. I don't think I know a single person who hasn't watched this show that I've talked to. Like, I mean, who doesn't have Netflix, first of all? And of the people who have Netflix, who didn't binge Stranger Things the first weekend it came out? So yeah, I am unbelievably pumped. And I also love that this show's coming out on Halloween. And it looks like it also takes place during Halloween. Like we see the characters in Ghostbusters costumes, which so adorable. Like they look so cute in those Ghostbusters costumes. And I was a Ghostbuster for Halloween this year. I'll put a picture right there. That's me in a Ghostbusters costume. So awesome. What did you think of this trailer?
Well, I want to say I was a minion. I'll put a picture right there. Or you're editing. You can put a picture right there. I was a minion for Halloween. I loved it as well. I think actually, like you said, they didn't show us much, and I loved the archive footage. If it was I don't know if they just faked it or if it was archive of the Eggo commercial, but it was awesome. And sorry, I just got a text and it totally distracted me. The thing that I liked the most about this was maybe it was only editing, but the way they flipped everything to do with the upside down, specifically the ending with the title, how they flipped everything. I just thought that was such a great attention to detail and so much fan service, because they were able to create this whole world that everyone was so involved in, and it was so brilliant. And another shameless plug was Stranger Things was the first video review we ever put up on this channel. So, and
it's horrible. Don't go back and watch it. Watch it.
But I'm just saying that was one of the ones that we first like buckled down and actually got this thing running on.
Yeah, Stranger Things in Westworld.
Yeah, I dug it. Do you have any news that you want to talk about?
Real briefly, guys, I just wanted to mention the passing of John Hurt, who actually I posted a quick thing on Facebook and Instagram, I believe, and I just really quickly wanted to pay my respects to John Hurt. He was a man who greatly influenced a lot of kind of like, I don't know, my empathy towards others with his performance in The Elephant Man. That performance is so dang good in that movie. And John Hurt was somebody who always just really added something to whatever he was doing, whatever he was in. Even in small roles like Alien, you know, or Hellboy here, that he does so good in every single little part that he ever played. He always gave it his all, and he always, I don't know, just was an addition to the cast that I enjoyed seeing. He died of pancreatic cancer, which is personal to me. My grandpa recently, this last week, passed away from pancreatic cancer as well. And it really upset me to read that John Hurt had passed away, just because I feel like there were more great performances to be seen with John Hurt. And The Elephant Man is my favorite performance of all time. And I wanted to quickly thank you, John Hurt, for what you did for the film community and how you inspired me. And I don't know, really just, you moved me to tears in The Elephant Man. So you have anything to add, Ryan?
I can't top that. I mean, he's such I just, while you were saying that, I was scrolling through his IMDb, and he has such a body of work. He was such a well-rounded and respected man and actor. So my thoughts and prayers go out to his family and everyone who was close to him through this experience. I'll move on to a
brighter note, hopefully.
well, no, I really feel bad for these next two
Oh no.
news stories that I wanted to bring up because well, one of them's good, so I'll start with the good one and then I'll move on to the one that you're not gonna like. So
Oh boy.
minor spoilers in this regarding Split. So if you haven't seen Split and you don't want anything, fast forward 30 seconds.
Or just mute it until we go like this.
Yeah. So watch Spencer because he's going to do that. M. Night Shyamalan posted yesterday at 11:45 on Twitter. He tweeted out, I have an 11-page outline for my next film in my bag. I can't tell you what it is, but if you've seen #Split ... I think that's an awesome piece of news. I'll just quickly do my quick thoughts. I'm excited. I haven't seen Unbreakable yet, but I did hear Steven told us that it was going to be a trilogy, that he had this in mind a long time ago. So I'm excited for this. I'm going to go back and see Unbreakable, and I guarantee my excitement for this announcement is going to be even more.
Right. I did go back and watch Unbreakable. Awesome. And then I've seen Split actually twice since then. So I've seen it through. I've seen Split as many times as I've seen La La Land. I don't know how proud of that I am, but yeah. So I actually read about this as well. Amazing. I think it's so exciting that we're moving on with the series. And I mean, with the amount of money that they made, I'm not surprised. It's the third time in a row this weekend that Split came out on top, which is close call because Rings had almost caught up to it. But I think that's it. Do you have anything else to add?
No, do your cool little.
Okay. So yeah, guys, you can come back in.
Okay, so this next news thing and the final item of our news segment today is one that I was extremely ecstatic about because of my love and adoration for this franchise. Sci-Fi announced this week that their Shark Schlock movie franchise Sharknado will be continuing in a press release that declared Sharknado 5, working title, will come out soon, probably like this year, Shark Week. I don't know for sure, but they started filming on February 2nd in Berlin, and this film is going around the world, and I'm so excited for this piece of crap to come out. What are your thoughts?
I have nothing more to say than whatever I've already said. So I don't like Sharknado. I think they're stupid. I don't see the point in them. There's nothing to be like. They're intending to make a bad movie. So they make a bad movie, and it's like, okay, well, you made a bad movie. When people like have a misfire and they accidentally make something like 9 Lives or The Room or Troll 2, then that's something entertaining to me. But something that's Sharknado, it's like, oh, we're trying to be bad. We're in on the joke. It's not as funny to me. So that's all I have to say.
I respect that. I do feel bad for the director. He's directing this one as well, and that's 5 in a row. Bless your soul. But it sums it up when I say they started filming February 2nd, and this will probably come out this year for Shark Week, which is what, in June or something like that. So whatever. I just thought that was awesome. But I think that'll wrap up our segment for film news. So let's hop straight into our second to last category, which is the Big Lebowski.
Right. So I'm going to be reading the plot for the Big Lebowski, and it says the dude Lebowski, mistaken for a millionaire Lebowski, seeks restitution for his ruined rug and enlists his bowling buddies to help get it. This film is directed by Joel and Ethan Coen, the Coen brothers, stars Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, Julianne Moore, and Steve Buscemi. Now, that being said, Ryan, remember, we're talking about my favorite comedy of all time. So what did you think of Big Lebowski?
I read a review after I watched this movie, and I think it sums up my life and it sums up this movie perfectly. It said that the world would achieve world peace and be a better place if we all had the motto of F it, let's go bowling. I adore this movie. I don't know why I'd never seen it before. I don't think I loved it as much as you, but I think that's because I haven't seen it twice.
Right.
I think that this is going to add so much more, and it's just going to get funnier and funnier every time you watched it. But the first time I did watch it, I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. We watched the first half together. I love just the characters, the dude. I thought he was awesome. And he actually like really reminds me of an actor that I've worked with several times, which is really saying something, because that performance is amazing. But he reminds me of my friend Adam a ton. And I don't know, it's just such a great outline of comedy, different in the aspect of Shaun of the Dead, but it still has a lot of those same plantings and payoffs and repetition and stuff. The Coens, grade A. I wasn't a huge fan of Hail Caesar, but this is why I'm a fan of the Coens. So I'll let you fanboy for a little bit.
Yeah. This is my favorite comedy of all time. This is also my favorite Coen brothers movie, which is really saying something because they have so many masterpieces under their belt. Like you, the first time I watched this, I think afterwards I was like, oh, it's like a 9 out of 10. But then the second time I went back and watched it, holy cow. Like I was like, what did I miss the first time? And I laughed, I think, the entire way through. And then after that, I seriously watched this movie like every day for the longest time. Like I think that this movie is absolutely hilarious. And the reason why is this is a comedy that's completely based in character. Everything that's funny about this movie is some weird, quirky like antic that a character does. So like we have a character like the dude who is just this extremely carefree, doesn't like to worry about anything. He just likes to live his life peacefully and calmly and like go about his routines. You know, we start off the movie with him paying for a carton of half and half that costs 69 cents with a check. He literally pays for it with a check, looks up on the TV, sees George H.W. Bush saying his speech that this aggression will not stand. This aggression will not stand. And he uses that quote several times throughout the movie, which is something that took me like 4 times to notice that, oh, George H.W. Bush says that at the beginning of the movie on the TV. And there's all sorts of stuff like that throughout this movie. Like there's a part where a character is talking about like, how guys get uncomfortable when women talk about their women genitalia. And he says, but the guys they'll refer to their genitals all the time. And she uses one word, Johnson, which I've never heard before in my life. And literally later on in the movie, characters are calling guys' genitals their Johnson, which I think is just so funny. There's stuff like that throughout this. And there's one hilarious part where basically this movie's crazy. I want to start by saying trying to explain the plot to people like from part to part is an impossible task. It's something like Pulp Fiction where there's so much going on in this movie and so many layers to it that you can't comprehend this entire movie on one viewing. I mean, I could probably go through the story because I've seen it so many times, but somebody who had just watched this once, it's really an overwhelming experience. And that's why you have to be somebody who's like kind of into film and into like character-based film to get into this. But there's a scene where he basically goes to infiltrate a like pornographer's house, like to try to like figure out things about this mystery that he's on. And the guy is writing something down on this piece of paper and he leaves the room for a minute. He goes and he like scribbles on the piece of paper to try to find the outline of what the guy like was writing. And it's just a drawing of like a naked guy. And it's like, so this guy was acting like he was writing down something super important to try to intimidate him. And there's stuff like that throughout the movie. John Goodman plays Walter, who's like this Vietnam veteran who's like really, really bitter and he's really angry. He's aggressive. He has anger problems. And there are so many classic scenes with him, like the Market Zero scene. That scene is so incredible. And Steve Buscemi as Donnie is just brilliant. All 3 of those guys, the 3 main characters, bring so much to their characters, and even small characters like Philip Seymour Hoffman in this movie is priceless. He's so funny in this movie. I love this movie with every fiber of my being. It is absolutely fantastic. And the best part is that the entire events of the movie are set off by the dude's rug getting peed on. That's just like the best way to kick off a plot in the history of any movie ever.
I'll agree with you. I'm going to agree with what you said at the beginning. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10, but I currently have a copy of this in my possession, and I'm going to watch it again, and I can already assume that it's going to be higher. Just you talking about it and being able to talk about it, it is so good, and it's definitely one that I need to tell everybody to watch, not just suggest. You need to watch this movie.
So, guys, spoilers for Big Lebowski if you haven't seen it. I'd say stop watching. It's so good. Big Lebowski is so great. But so I wanted to see what you thought real quick, Ryan, about like the death of Donnie, like how he dies. He has a heart attack and they think he got shot, but he literally, it's like one of the most sad, like heartbreaking and tragic things like in movie history. But at the same time, that ending scene where they like spread his ashes, I honestly find it kind of heartwarming, despite the fact that the ashes go all over the dude's face. Like, oh, it's just, what'd you think of that? Like that whole entire plot element of the movie?
I loved it. I think that's something, that this movie does do very well, that the Coens are very good at writing, is like you said, it's a character piece. And it's things that happen to characters. And I think that's why this scene works so well, is because they're not necessarily just trying to be douchebags and make a funny scene about spreading some guy's ashes. I think the whole thing is perfect because it's a situation that we see of the characters. They're just like debating like the urn. He's like, don't you have a cheaper, don't you have one that costs less? And he keeps saying it like in a very eloquent way. He's like, the most cost-effective urn that we have is like what, like $600, $300 or something like that. And then they go and they can't decide, and he's sprinkling the urns, and it hits him right in the face, which is funny.
Well, and they put his ashes in a Folgers can, like in a coffee Folgers can.
And they buy a Folgers can, which I have you seen Due Date, the movie Due Date?
I have, yeah.
Which is, I think, I saw that one first, but I think that movie is just kind of taking that moment from The Big Lebowski. Right. But it's so funny, but it's also heart touching because it's just this moment that you can totally, you're engulfed in the story and you're like, this is totally a situation that would happen with these guys.
Exactly. And like Walter having to mention Vietnam, like in that last, like, I don't know, eulogy, I suppose, for Donnie is just totally true to that character and classic. I'd give Big Lebowski a 10 out of 10, and we are running a little bit long. So I say we quickly get into our Sundance top 5.
Perfect. So getting into Sundance, this is something that we wanted to do last week, but I got sick. I got the Sundance flu. I couldn't even talk, and so we had to postpone. Like you said, we're just going to go through quick. And so what I'll do is I'm going to go down, and let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to list off our top 5 from Sundance, but we're not going to do reviews. We're just going to give you the names because we've done reviews for all of these movies. We did them after we came out of the movies.
Right. So maybe like a sentence, like, or something, but not a full blown review.
And I have a feeling that our 5 are probably going to be the same 5, but I think maybe 1 or 2 are just going to be in a different order. So I'm going to start off with my number 5, which is Mudbound, which this is not the first or last time you're going to hear about that, because this movie is going to come up again later on in the year. Specifically, I think it will have some Oscar buzz coming around it. I don't know, like, we're in February. I don't know if it's going to be serious nomination buzz, but it's going to be in talks again. Just keep an eye out for Mudbound.
My number 5 is Thoroughbred. This is the one that we caught the world premiere of. And initially upon getting out, I gave this a 7.5. That score would be way higher. Now, having time to think about this movie really retroactively helped it. I really, really dug it. Olivia Cooke was amazing. Anya Taylor-Joy was amazing. I feel like I'm forgetting some people in the cast. Oh, well. So I'd say that Thoroughbred, number 5.
Awesome. My number 4, you're going to hate me for, but it's Ghost Story. There's no escaping this. It's a fantastic movie. Unfortunately, it hit 4 because there were 3 others that I extremely adored and loved more, but you're going to hear about this movie as well.
So my number 4 is going to be Mudbound. He already talked about this one, number 5, and I agree with everything you said, echo everything you said. I think this is a surefire, probably Oscar contender. This movie is pretty phenomenal, actually. And this is another one, having more time to think about it has really, really retroactively benefited this one. I really think this is something special.
Awesome. My number 3 is going to be The Big Sick, which is one we were you were anticipating more than me, but once you started talking about it, I really dug it. I love Silicon Valley, like you. So this was just all around a dang near perfect film. The comedy, the writing, the directing, the cast, phenomenal. Watch this as soon as it comes. I think Amazon bought it, so watch this as soon as they release this. I guarantee they're going theatrical, and then they'll go streaming.
My number 3 is also The Big Sick. I echo everything you said. Phenomenal movie. Check out our review for it.
Awesome. So number 2, right? Yep, number 2.
Yep.
Is Thoroughbred for me. I dug this movie, and I was super hyped about it coming out of it. This is just a genre movie that really hit me. This is a kind of movie that I love and that I aspire to make one day. Just a weird, dark comedy that not everyone's going to like, but I really dug it.
Yeah, I totally dug it as well. My number 2 is A Ghost Story. Ryan already talked about this one. This is like my type of movie. So he's just talking about Thoroughbred and how he liked that type of a genre, that type of a thing. And I like A Ghost Story about as much as he likes that one. I think I like its weirdness. I like its boldness and doing what it sets out to do something. I think it totally pulls it off extremely well. And I just adore this movie in every way. I was extremely moved by it. So A Ghost Story, number 2.
I think it's safe to say that you liked that movie as much as Rooney Mara likes pie. So let's get into my number 1, which is going to be Wind River, which I think is going to be yours as well.
No, actually, The Little Hours. The Little Hours is my number 1. Yeah, of course, Wind River is my number 1 of Sundance.
I was like, crap, did I forget one? What did we watch? I was sick this whole week. Yeah, The Wind River. Taylor Sheridan, magnificent. This is the best directorial debut ever. He knocked it out of the park. It's a perfect closure in the trilogy that he's been writing of the kind of genre of just kind of I don't know how he described it, but it's
American
like
Frontier trilogy is Frontier. What he called it.
Phenomenal movie. I don't think anyone has bought this. So Harvey, if you're watching this, Mr. Weinstein, you suck. Change your mind. Buy this movie again, or someone else out there purchase this movie, because I think it's either in a bidding war or it's just kind of gone to the wayside. But this one will be released and you will see it and everyone's going to love it.
Yeah, I echo everything he said. Guys, go and watch our review for this movie. Like, it's honestly one of my favorite reviews we've ever done, because we couldn't even like form cohesive thoughts when we came out of that movie. We were sitting there trying to like collect ourselves, and it was literally like trying to scrape our minds off the floor because they'd just been blown all over the place. It was absolutely incredible. I think it has one of the best third acts I've ever seen in a movie. Like, the execution of the third act and when Sheridan decides to reveal stuff to us is absolutely brilliant. And the scene where things do get revealed is one of the most powerful scenes I've seen in a movie, like, in a very, very long time. I called this the Fargo of like the 2000s, and I stand by it. It is freaking great, guys. Check Wind River out. So I think that wraps up our Sundance Top 5. You got anything else to add, Ryan?
No, thank you guys so much for watching. We're really like trying to cater this towards you guys. So please give us some input if you have it. I'm excited for the new directions we're going with this. So make sure that you subscribe and share these videos. I know this one's long, but I think things are going to change and be beneficial to everyone. And subscribe, like, comment, do all that cool stuff that all those cool YouTubers say.
So guys, next week, I want to real quick announce the movies we're going to be reviewing. We're going to be reviewing 2 new releases, and that's going to be John Wick Chapter 2, as well as the Lego Batman movie, both of which I'm pretty stoked for. I don't know about Ryan. I love John Wick 1. I also love the Lego movie. So
I was a latecomer to the Lego movie. I don't think I saw it until like a year after. I didn't see it until after the Oscars when it got snubbed.
Yeah, snubbed.
But I dug both of those. John Wick is probably one of my favorite action movies. Like, it was so well executed, and the marketing even for it was brilliant. Like, they didn't even show a trailer until 3 weeks before the movie came out, and it was just so effective. So I'm excited for next week.
All right, guys, and we'll also have a meeting alongside that, and we're going to be implementing all those changes for next week. So hope you guys liked it. You can follow me on Twitter at SpinnyHand. Ryan, where can they find you?
Twitter and Instagram at Rye_Gordon.
All right, guys, until next week, we'll catch you later.